Fourth Division survivors are at Brisbane Road, Leyton Orient, and they're doing pretty well against their First Division opposition, Nottingham Forest. Goalless at half-time, John Watson.
Well, a sparkling first half despite the score. Leyton Orient must have had 7 shots on goal, and Steve Sutton has certainly been busy guarding that goal for Nottingham Forest, whereas at the other end, Nottingham Forest have had 2 shots against the bar, one by Plummer and one by Wilson. And what's really nice about this cup tie is that both teams are allowing the other side to play, and by that I mean that Nottingham Forest have not come here to defend. They're allowing the Fourth Division team to show what they can do, and certainly in their front two, Shinners and Juriev, Leyton Orient have got strikers who can keep the Nottingham Forest defence fully occupied. It's a good open game and a very fair one too, and it's being played.
Newbridge 3. Well, final whistle just a couple of minutes away in today's big cup matches, north and south of the border. I think one side that we can safely say will go into the 5th round hat, that's First Division Newcastle, because they lead Swindon by 5-0 at St James's Park. David Davis is watching.
Yes, maybe this scoreline is just a little harsh on brave Swindon, but believe you me, this Newcastle side aren't the soft touches for giant killers of some of their predecessors. True, for half an hour, Swindon gave as good as they got, the likes of Kamara Bamba and Jimmy Quinn more than holding their own. But then 2 super strikes, Jackson leaving keeper Hammond stranded for number 1, and Paul Gascoigne leaving defenders sprawling as he curled home the second, and with a late penalty, that's 5 goals in 3 games to impress Bobby Robson. Swindon rallied, but the dream had faded. McDonald missed a penalty before crossing for O'Neill's brilliant and devastating header on the hour. Paul Goddard whacked home the 5th seconds ago. Yes, from Newcastle we've had a lesson in finishing, and from Paul Gascoigne, who should really have had a hat-trick, another performance that's been a joy to behold.
So comfortable for Newcastle, but it's been a lot tougher for a lot of other First Division sides, notably Wimbledon, who got through. I think the final whistle has gone a few minutes ago at Mansfield Town. Final score, Mansfield Town from the 3rd Division 1, Wimbledon 2. A report on that from Jerry Sinstadt.
Yes, we had all the classic ingredients here, not least a heavy pitch and a fierce wind, making controlled football difficult. But Mansfield, to their credit, kept trying. Sadly for them, they made 2 mistakes and were punished for both. They left Alan Cork unmarked in the area, and his header from Dennis Wise's cross was then a formality. Then an indecisive back pass allowed Terry Phelan to score what I suspect was his first goal in any competition for any of the 3 clubs he's played for. But Mansfield didn't have a monopoly on errors. Dave Besant's grotesque missed kick letting Kevin Kent, Mansfield's best player, and that was 2-1, half an hour to go. And 5 minutes later, Laurie Sanchez gave away a foolish penalty, but Besant redeemed everything by guessing right and saving well. It wasn't all mistakes, and we had a lot of excitement, and Wimbledon deserved to go through.
And look at the excitement at Vale Park, because the final whistle, I believe, has just gone in the match between Port Vale and Spurs, and the cup holders quite plainly are out. Tottenham beaten by 2-1 by Port Vale from the 3rd Division. And just look at those celebrations. Goals from Ray Walker and Phil Sproson for Port Vale. Neil Ruddock got one back for a very dejected Spurs after 71 minutes. But it's Port Vale from the 3rd Division, the biggest giant killers of the day so far. Now, for a while, it looked as if Leyton Orient would join them as giant killers when they took the lead against First Division Nottingham Forest at Brisbane Road. Leyton Orient from the 4th. The fairy tale didn't come true because Lee Glover and Calvin Plummer have put Forest through. John Watson has the details.
Yes, I do, Desmond, and what an exciting second half here. In fact, Leyton Orient went in front 6 minutes after half-time. People here thought the scorer was Juriev, but I think it was an own goal by Paul Wilkinson, defending on the near post for Nottingham Forest and diverting the free kick past his own keeper. That was the situation halfway through the second half, and then Brian Clough's young team showed some enormous character. They scored twice in the space of 5 minutes, first through the youngest player on the pitch, 17-year-old Lee Glover. He got the equaliser, and then Glover and Wilkinson carved out another goal after 72 minutes for outside right Calvin Plummer, who shot firmly home for what proved to be the winner. Orient a little unfortunate to lose captain Kevin Hales at half-time with an injury, but when you talk about giant killing here today, Brian Clough, the master, has put one across the old pupil Frank Clark. When you talk about giant killing, don't forget that in many cases this young Nottingham Forest team were even younger and less experienced than the 4th Division players from Leyton Orient. That's what made it such an intriguing cup tie. There was so much good football, but in the end Forest and Brian Clough are through to the 5th round for the first time in 7 years.
Well, I may not be Desmond, but no mistaking that's John Motson. No mistaking the scenes at Port Vale. The celebrations still going on. Port Vale 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Tony Gubba.
Yes, it's another glorious giant-killing act in the FA Cup. The 4th round victors Port Vale, and believe me, they thoroughly deserve their victory against First Division Tottenham. Port Vale were 2 up after 25 minutes in this match through Walker and Sprosson, and although Tottenham did stage a spirited second-half fight back and recovery, and they did get a goal through Neil Ruddock, in fairness, Port Vale always looked worthy of this victory. Terry Venables hurried away from the dugout at the end, straight into the dressing room. He didn't want to stay to see the scenes of celebration which are going on the pitch. Port Vale deserve it, and they'll be celebrating in their potteries tonight, believe me.
So the cup finalists out, the cup holders are out as well. Coventry beaten at Highfield Road by Watford, a Trevor Senior goal. This is Old Trafford, where Manchester United have got through against Chelsea. 2-0 the scoreline in the commentary box, Barry Davis.
And where they've just put the Port Vale score up on the scoreboard here. A well-merited victory by Manchester United, but for Roger Freestone, whose saves included one from Leclerc from the penalty spot in the 7th minute, it would have been by a greater margin. The 2 goals scored were both well made. The first by Norman Whiteside in the 42nd minute, owed a great deal to Clayton Blackmore's crossfield pass and the cross from Duxbury. And then when Chelsea had brought on both their substitutes and were having their best spell of the game, the ball ran away from Hazard when the shot was on, and in the end the ball came to the far post. It missed everybody, fell at Strachan. He was challenged, but he brought the ball away, and from there United built an attack the length of the pitch, which ended with a cracking left-foot drive by Brian Leclerc to put the result beyond doubt. 3 players booked in the match. Some of the Chelsea players battled, 1 or 2 will not have enjoyed their performance here this afternoon, and the historic omens will tell you that United, having beaten Chelsea, will go on to Wembley.
Arsenal had to battle today as well, but they got through at the Goldstone ground by 2-1 against Brighton. Frank Partridge.
Yes, Brighton left to rue the chances they missed in a game that fell away a bit the longer it went on, but was always capable of producing an electrifying moment. Never more so than in the 72nd minute, when Brighton's key man, striker Gary Nelson, wriggled free from a shirt-pulling defender, got the ball onto his favoured left foot, and somehow pulled it across the goal from less than 10 yards out. Now, if that had gone in, if, the biggest word in the cup, what a contrast with the first half, when Nelson had pivoted like the great Gert Muller himself to hit a thumping volley that brought Brighton back on level terms. They'd undeservedly fallen behind in the 32nd minute, ball watching at a corner and allowing the unmarked Kevin Richardson space and time to measure his shot. After the interval, Arsenal appeared content to cruise towards the sanctuary of a replay at Highbury, but with 12 minutes to go, perhaps shaken by Nelson's near miss, they conjured up a sweeping attack which was beautifully finished off by Perry Groves. It was a goal fit to win a cup final, but on the day it was a goal that flattered the Arsenal.
Well, there's the video printer, the news from Scotland and from the FA Cup. Celtic 1, Stranraer 0 in the Scottish Cup, Dundee 0, Brecon 0, Falkirk 1, Hearts 3, Barnsley 0, Birmingham 2 in the all second division FA Cup tie. Arsenal through, as we heard. From Division 4, Scunthorpe 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Division 4 also, Peterborough 0, Bolton 4. Division 2, Blackburn win at Ipswich by 2-0. And Luton get through against Southampton. Southampton leading there at one point at Kenilworth Road, but it's Luton 2, Southampton 1. Division 4, Exeter 0, Tranmere 1. And here's a shock result possibly. Yes, Everton 1, Middlesbrough 1. Everton held again, and they replay on Wednesday. Division 3, Notts County 5, Fulham 1. Division 2, West Bromwich Albion 1, Leeds United 4. Back to the Cup, the second division tie between Plymouth and Shrewsbury goes the way of Plymouth Argyle. Quite a climax apparently to the match at Bloomfield Road. I understand that third division Blackpool took the lead against second division Manchester City, a Richard Sendall goal after 82 minutes. Paul Molden, I now hear, has equalised for Manchester City right on the stroke of 90 minutes. I think they're still playing. Scottish Cup there, St Johnstone 0, Aberdeen 1, the Premier Division side just getting through against the second division side. We'll get a report on that from Archie McPherson quite shortly. Division 4, Cardiff 4, Cambridge United 0. And I think we can go to Archie now, that match between St Johnstone and Aberdeen. Aberdeen made it. Here's Archie.
Well, quite simply, it was a case basically of the players versus the elements. It was monsoon conditions in Perth, and you can see the pitch down there glistening at the moment. It was extremely difficult, almost like the battlefield from Passchendaele. But they got on with it, and I must give full credit, although they've been knocked out of the Scottish Cup, to second division and part-time St Johnstone. They fought all the way. They took Aberdeen right to the end. The only goal of the game came very late on indeed, in the 38th minute of the second half. And it was a lovely little touch by Charlie Nicholas. He got a ball from Faulkner from the goal line. He flicked it onto the post. And certainly Connor coming up couldn't miss the rebound. Aberdeen were through. But as I said, they fought all the way, the second division team. And I'm sure Aberdeen, like their supporters, are delighted to go back north with that result.
Now see where the delight and despair has gone today. Today's full classified results.
And the FA Cup fourth round. Aston Villa against Liverpool is a Sunday match. Barnsley 0, Birmingham City 2. Blackpool 1, Manchester City 1. Bradford City 4, Oxford United 2. Brighton Hove Albion 1, Arsenal 2. Coventry City 0, Watford 1. Everton 1, Middlesbrough 1. Leyton Orient 1, Nottingham Forest 2. Continuing the FA Cup fourth round, results: Luton Town 2, Southampton 1. Manchester United 2, Chelsea 0. Mansfield Town 1, Wimbledon 2. Newcastle United 5, Swindon Town 0. Plymouth Argyle 1, Shrewsbury Town 0. Portsmouth against Sheffield United, a score draw. Port Vale 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Queen's Park Rangers against West Ham United, a late result. League Division 2, Ipswich Town 0, Blackburn Rovers 2. Reading 1, Leicester City 2. West Bromwich Albion 1, Leeds United 4. League Division 3, Brentford against Grimsby Town, home win. Bristol Rovers against Bristol City, match postponed. Bury 2, Chesterfield 0. Chester City 1, Rotherham United 0. Doncaster Rovers against Aldershot, that's a Sunday kick-off. Northampton Town 1, Wigan Athletic 1. Notts County 5, Fulham 1. Preston North End 1, Southend United 1. Sunderland 2, Gillingham 1. Walsall 2, York City 1. League Division 4, Cardiff City 4, Cambridge United 0. Exeter City 0, Tranmere Rovers 1. Halifax Town against Wrexham, home win. Hartlepool United 0, Swansea City 2. Hereford United 2, Carlisle United 0. Peterborough United 0, Bolton Wanderers 4. Scarborough 3, Colchester United 1. Scunthorpe United 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Torquay United against Darlington is an away win.